Hey y'all, welcome back to the Becoming series, exploring the deep truths and the principles that will enable you become everything you were created to be and to do. So I was on IG a little while ago and I saw this post which caught my attention. And it was a quote: a smooth sea doesn't make a great sailor," something like that. And I just immediately thought, how true, right? Because if you're a sailor, if you're a professional sailor, you don't actually learn much when everything is calm and honky dory. Everything is calm, everything is smooth. Although we profess to say that we don't, that's the way we want things to be. But it's actually in the crazy times, when the seas are roaring and the boat is being tossed. That is actually when you learn the greatest lessons about what it is to be a sailor. And I think that really also translates to our lives, right? um and I've talked a little bit about this in prior episodes, so I'm not really going to focus on that. What I am going to focus on is actually what keeps us going, because although um the rough waters, or the rough seas, as it were, presents your greatest time to learn, or your greatest opportunities to learn, you might end up missing the lesson if you're not willing to learn. And what is it that makes you stay the course? What is it that makes you committed to the path that you have chosen? What is the fuel that continues to drive you, right? And it calls to mind a great quote I heard from Denzel Washington, who happens to be one of my all-time favorite actors. He said, um, "Without commitment, you'll never start, but without consistency, you'll never finish." And that is so true. But what makes us consistent day in, day out? What makes us keep going back to the things that need to be done, irrespective of what the weather is, whether it's raining, whether it's shining, whether it's snowing, good times, bad times? What keeps us committed? What is the fuel, right? If you're looking at it in terms of a car, what keeps the fire burning? What keeps the engine going? What is the fuel? And really, it's passion. All right, passion is the fuel in any endeavor, in any activity in life. What gives you staying power really is passion. And at the end of the day, it really boils down to, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? How passionate are you about this cause? How passionate are you about this marriage? How passionate about are you about becoming your true self? Because that is what is really going to distinguish you from those who eventually fall off. Because sadly, even though people profess to want to stay in the course, life throws difficulties, and some people just don't make the cut because they're not passionate enough. So what makes you passionate? What gives you the passion to continue doing the things that need to be done day in, day out? What keeps you committed to the course? When you find what gives you fuel, when you find what gives you persistence, when you find what keeps you productive, that that is really what gives you the strength. It also calls to mind one of my favorite sports movies, which was the Rocky series, right? I'm sure we've heard about that. There's now the Creed series, which is like a spin-off. But in Rocky, you really saw that thing about fuel, about persistence, about passion, right? Rocky wasn't the greatest fighter in the world, right? But he had something that a lot of his opponents didn't have, and that was that passion, that heart, what they called heart. He'd be losing the rounds, losing matches, he'd get beaten, but he'd always come back because he truly had the passion for becoming what it is that he was called to do, and be, which was a fighter, a great fighter. So what keeps you going? What is your fuel? Because that is really what will give you the staying power that keeps you in the ring, no matter what the circumstances. So find your fuel, find what makes you passionate, and you stay the course.